If it's Thursday night, say yeah. For it's Strictly Sports College Football Thursday. Hello, friends. It's Anthony Floyo here for another edition of Strictly Sports College Football Thursday. Before I start, I'd like to take this moment and issue an apology to good old MF Michael Fletcher, Michael Bullock, and if she's watching, Dee Dee Woodson, for my being unable to participate in Tuesday night's edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk. Major technical difficulty that was beyond my control, but somehow, some way, through the grace of the Lord, I was able to somehow, some way, get it back up and running with no one's help but my own. I did it all on my own. All I did was just sit. What happened was there was a blue screen. That's usually your sign-in screen. And what happened was it wasn't coming up. It just kept going back to my lock screen for some odd reason. So I found a YouTube tutorial and I followed it. And what I did, I unplugged everything. I even took out the battery. That's how serious it was. I had to take out the battery. But somehow put everything back in a few minutes later, and then bada boom, I was back up and running. So praise God that I was able to figure that out on my own. I didn't have to ask anybody who's more mechanically inclined than I am. I did it on my own. So thank you, Lord, for that. So that's what happened to me the other night. But I can assure you, if anything like that ever happens again, I know what to do. So for right now, we're back. I'm back. College Football Thursday. We got another exciting week of action for you. Although I'm going to be honest, some of these matchups that I'm looking at, not really all that appealing. I'm going to be real honest, but we're going to get through them anyway. Right now, I'm joined by good old MF Michael Fletcher. We're awaiting the arrival of our third man, Michael Bullock. Not sure what's going on with him. He usually lets me know if he's running late or if he's not going to be on, but I haven't heard from him. So hopefully he will be. He'll be back. He'll be in with us soon enough. And when he does come in, we'll catch him up on what he missed. Simple as that. So, all right, we got a couple of games we need to keep an eye on here. A couple of Thursday night games, one in college and one in the NFL. Of course, in college right now, oh my goodness, if you can believe this, number 21, South Florida, currently leads Temple 43-7 with 7.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. In the NFL game, we got the Los Angeles Rams and the San Francisco 49ers, and many people were thinking, oh, yeah, this is going to be a fun one to watch. Well, it's actually not as bad as we thought it was going to be. It's a 27-20 lead for the Rams in the third quarter. Yeah, I agree with you, MF. Halfway decent, absolutely. Can't say the same for the college game, though. South Florida is absolutely manhandling Temple right now, 43-7. So it's safe to say they're on their way to victory yet again. So, all right. Without any further ado, let's get into the remaining schedule here. And you know how we're going to do it here on this show. We're only going to give detail to, the sleeper games or the exciting games. For the meh games, we're not going to go all that far in. So with all that being said, let's get into it. Week 4 already underway, as you know, with South Florida pounding Temple. So with all that being said, let's dive on in and look at our first matchup, which will go down tomorrow night at 10:30 on Fox Sports 1. It will be the number 23 Utah Utes. Utah back in the rankings. They're going to be scoring off against the Arizona Wildcats at Arizona Stadium. And on the call for that one, it will be Brian Custer and Ben Lieber. They will be on the call for that one over on FS1. And the spread favors, I would have to imagine it would have to be Utah as the favorite.
I got Utah. According to the ESPN here, I got Utah by 3.5 points.
Yeah, same thing here on my end. 3.5 to 4. is what I have for Utah when they square off against Arizona tomorrow night. So, well, Utah will open its Pac-12 conference play with a Friday night game against Arizona. They snapped a 4-game skid to the Wildcats last year with a 36-23 win in Salt Lake City. And it's going to match strength against strength. Arizona has a deep group of running backs led by Nick Wilson and J.J. Taylor, and they sit atop the conference rushing leaders, averaging 328 yards a game. Utah, with standout defensive tackle Lowell Ludalili in the middle of its defensive line, is allowing only 49.3 rushing yards a game, second nationally, only behind Duke, if you can believe that. Arizona quarterback Brandon Dawkins, who struggled passing the ball in a Week 2 home loss to Houston, bounced back in a big way with a 63-16 beatdown at UTEP, 133 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns, and he also threw for 3 as well. And Utah's Tyler Huntley coming off a 4-touchdown performance against San Jose State. Huntley, a sophomore who wrested the starting job away from incumbent Troy Williams in fall camp. He's looked good as a dual threat in Utah's new, more up-tempo scheme implemented by coordinator Troy Taylor. And so far, Huntley's doing well. He's so far thrown for 868 yards, 5 TDs, and 2 picks. So, yeah, so that's pretty much the schematics you need to know for this one. And it is a little tough one. I mean, it's a small spread, but I got to go with Utah. I think Utah's the better team right now, and I mean, it's pretty much all I can say on that. I mean, the numbers back it up. So it's a classic case of great offense against great defense. I mean, great running, that deep group of running backs that Utah has against that star defensive player for Arizona. Something has to give, but I think Utah's going to find a way to get that going, and I think they should steal one in Arizona tomorrow night. So I'm going to go with Utah to win. I'm going to say maybe 31-28 as my final. So it's really all I can say on that. So MF, come on in. Number 23, Utah, squaring off against Arizona in Arizona tomorrow night. And classic case of Utah's got great running backs. Arizona's got a good defense, allowing only 49 rushing yards a game, only behind Duke, if you can believe that. So something's got to give.
Something definitely has to give. And on top of that, this is one of those games where you can easily yell upset alert. And as a matter of fact, this is actually really shocking to say, Anthony, but the ESPN Power Index actually has this overwhelmingly for Arizona, 70-30. They actually believe that Arizona is going to knock off Utah tomorrow night. That Arizona puts up almost 47 points per game. They give up about 20. And yes, like you said, when it comes to the rushing yards allowed, actually Arizona gives up about 120 rush yards per game. They normally average about 328 on the ground to 161 total offense so far. They got about 489 average. So I mean, this is a really, really, really good team that you're going up against. Like you said, Utah is really powerful. Where actually, Anthony, according to this, it says that Utah gives up about 49.3 yards on the average against the run, 196 in the air. Their defense has given up about 246 yards per game. So, I mean, great offense, explosive offense to say the very least. But when it comes to out points and everything else, they've just been unbelievable. So you got to look at Huntley. What is he going to bring to the table? He's been really amazing. Dawkins for Arizona has already 400 yards passing and 4 touchdowns for the season. These are your season stats. But Dawkins is actually a double threat because he also has 34 carries, about over 250 yards, and 5 touchdowns already. So what is Utah going to do? Can they handle Dawkins being that dual threat. He's already got 9 combined touchdowns already this season. That's going to be the ultimate test. If they can keep him in check, Utah wins this game. I don't know if they're going to be able to. Plus, the game is in Arizona. I'm a little leery about that more than anything else. Anthony, I'm going to disagree with you, not because of the fact that I think Utah is going to – I'm going to disagree because I think Arizona will win. Number one, this has upset special written all over it. I just feel in my mind, in my heart, I think Arizona is going to find a way and steal this one. But I think it's going to be a close game. I'm going to say 31-28, but I got Arizona knocking off Utah. And I would not be shocked if Utah wins it, but I think Arizona is going to steal the upset. So nothing more to say. Floyo, it's yours.
All right, fair enough. Let's move on to our next matchup. And one other thing, I forgot to mention. I had a false reporting here on my my announcer sheet here. Well, actually, it was there was one thing missing. It will be Brian Custer and Ben Lieber on the call, but I found my my more reliable announcer sheet, and they left off the sideline reporter, Jennifer Hale. She'll be working with Custer and Lieber tomorrow night for that Utah-Arizona game. Just wanted to clear that up. So, all right, let's move on to our next matchup, which MF is going to start off on. Big Ten game, MF. It's only fitting you started off because you are our resident authority on the Big Ten after all. The number 10, Ohio State Buckeyes. They'll be at home at Ohio Stadium in the Horseshoe. They're going to be hosting the Rebels of UNLV. Game will be on the Big Ten Network at high noon on Saturday. Kevin Kugler, Matt Millen, James Laurinaitis, they're going to be on the call. Ohio State, a 40 to 40.5 point favorite. Whoa. MF, let's just say I wouldn't want to be UNLV.
No, you would not want to be UNLV, but I will say this. Ohio State, look, they all right. They handled their business. They beat, I believe it was Air Force last week. No, they beat Army 38-7. But I will openly admit this. It wasn't the most spectacular victory. I mean, first half, it was only 17-7. Then in the second half, JT Barrett and the boys decided, all right, enough is enough. And they dropped the hammer on the Army. And Army just didn't stand a chance. Same thing with UNLV. This is set it up to be an easy win, but here's the thing. Do not take this game lightly because after that, then you got to start your Big Ten conference schedule, and you start out with some easy games, then you get into the meat. Once you get into the meat, that's when you might run into some problems because then you got Nebraska, you got Penn State, Iowa, Michigan State. That is a rough schedule if you're an Ohio State fan. And then of course at the end of the year is the big one with Michigan, but that's for a day. That's for another day, and we're not going to get into that. But just stay within yourself, stay within the program. You should win this game. So I got Ohio State winning it. Just don't mess around because UNLV, look, I know that this is an easy game. UNLV should easily win this one. As a matter of fact, oh my God, holy cow. You want to talk about absolute craziness? Listen to this. ESPN Power Index. The matchup predictor, Ohio State, 99.5 to 0.5 for UNLV. I'm not lying. 99.5% is going with the Ohio State Buckeyes. Need I say more?
No.
Floyo, it's yours.
You had me at 99.5% MF. That's all I can say on that. 99.5%.
Oh my God.
between that and the 40 to 40.5 point favorite spread for Ohio State, let me just say it right now, for all you mathematical geniuses out there, and for all you all those folks who like to play the ponies in football, if you will, if you go again, if for some odd reason you go with UNLV to win this thing, well, let's just say you're going to be on the list of stupid idiots and mutton heads out there. But nonetheless, it's Ohio State. I mean, they bounced back against the Army last week after getting humiliated by Oklahoma when Baker Mayfield, planted the Oklahoma flag right on the Ohio State logo on the 50-yard line. Whoa. They were heated, and they took out their frustrations on the Army, and I expect more of the same against UNLV. JT Barrett and company, they're going to steamroll, no doubt about this. Ohio State in another laugher. So that's all I can say there. So let's move on to our next game. Another high noon game, by the way. Only 3 high noon games, believe it or not. It's a little low for the noon games, but nonetheless, if I'm going to be real honest with you, I think this is the most intriguing of the 3 high noon games. This one will be on either ABC or ESPN2. Check your local listings for the channel in your area. It's going to be an emotional one, folks, because the number 12 Florida State Seminoles, their first game in 3 weeks after having them, because of Irma and all that. They're going to be back at home, Bobby Bowden Field, Doak Campbell Stadium. They're going to be hosting the Wolfpack of North Carolina State. Huge game in the ACC. And just bear with me for a moment it'll be Jason Benetti, Anthony Becht, and Rocky Boyman on the call. And the spread favors Florida State by 12.5 to 13. And it has to be Florida State, but here's the thing. Florida State lost their starting quarterback, Deondre Francois, to the season. They're still fuming from a 24-7 season opening loss to Alabama 3 weeks ago, then seeing its next 2 games get washed out because of Hurricane Irma. Florida State enters Saturday's contest against the Wolfpack, having not played a game in 3 weeks. Seminoles were supposed to follow up their season opener in Atlanta against the Crimson Tide with a home date against Louisiana Monroe on September 9th, but that game was canceled when it became clear Hurricane Irma was a threat to Florida. And because of the ongoing recovery effort in Miami last week due to the storm, last Saturday night's game against the Hurricanes of the Miami University Hurricanes was moved to October 7th. That left NC State as Florida State's next opponent on the schedule, and history, recent or otherwise, is on the Seminoles side. Florida State, which enters the game as a 12.5 to 13-point favorite, has won the last 4 meetings, including 24-20 last year in Raleigh. The Seminoles also have a huge edge in the all-time series at 26-11. But there's all that time off. The Seminoles could come out rusty rather than enraged. We'll see. Fresh or not, the big question for Florida State is at quarterback. Starter Deondre Francois lost for the season in the opener because of a knee injury. True freshman James Blackman will make his first start on Saturday. As for NC State, they dropped their opener to South Carolina, 35-28, but have won 2 games in a row against the likes of Marshall and FCS opponent Furman. Samuels already has 5 touchdowns, 3 rushing, 2 receiving, and has drawn the attention of Florida State star defensive back Derwin James. The 2 are likely to match up all afternoon on Saturday. NC State quarterback Ryan Finley has thrown 192 consecutive passes without an interception, longest active streak in the nation, and the 8th longest mark in ACC history. The Wolfpack's offense also was boosted last week by the return of starting right tackle Will Richardson after a 2-game suspension. Beyond James, there are ample potential high draft picks in this game. James is rated the 3rd best prospect for 2018 by NFLDraftScout.com, while Wolfpack defensive end Bradley Chubb is 11th, and FSU cornerback Tavares McFadden is 12th. Florida State's 21-day stretch between games is tied for the 3rd longest layoff between regular season games in the same season in program history. Back in 1980, the Seminoles had 28 days between a November 8 game against Virginia Tech and a December 6 game against Florida. In the program's first season in 1947, the Seminoles played their opener on October 18 against Stetson, and the second game of the season 27 days later on November 14th at Cumberland. The 1983 team also had a 21-day break, hosting Miami on November 12th before concluding the regular season at Florida on December 3. So certainly a lot to get into there. But if I'm going to be real honest with you, I have to go with Florida State. I mean, it's going to be emotional. I mean, it's going to be very emotional to say the very least. And, you know, after everything they've been through, you know, with Irma and all that, I mean, 3 weeks in between games, unbelievable. But I'm going to go with Florida State to win it. I will probably go I'm going to go 24-10. Florida State wins over NC State. Gives the wonderful folks in Florida, you know, something to lift their spirits after everything they've been through over the last few weeks. So with that, Florida State wins. So MF, let's get your thoughts on it. Florida State's first game in 3 weeks. Wow. I feel for those kids.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about Miami in a little while because Miami also has a big game coming up as well. But no doubt about it. This is all about Florida State. There was high expectations for Florida State going into the first game of the season because they were going up against Alabama, and they played really good. And then their star quarterback Francois did go down with the injury. Never recovered from that. We were fearing the worst. It came out back that it was the worst. He's lost for the season, so we know that he's not going to play. But with Florida State, I think their team is really strong. They're really good. And plus, it's the first game back, so you kind of have a feel that maybe this team has had an opportunity to feel to feel this freshman out, see what he's gonna do. Put him under these situations. Even though I know the mindset has been all about the Hurricane, trying to protect the people, help them out, the whole 9 yards, which is horrible. And I mean, they're still dealing with it right now, even still to this day. So I mean, they're gonna have that on their mind and their conscience going in, but I think it's gonna be fine. I think they're gonna be all right. And plus, it's NC State. It's an easier team than anything else. If this would have been Miami, I think I would have been. I honestly would have said I don't like their chances. I probably would say Miami wins that game. But because it's NC State, I think they will get the job done. So give me the Florida State Seminoles to win it. Michael Bullock has joined us. So Anthony, why don't you go in and catch up Bullock for the time being?
Yes, indeed, MF. I will do that. Michael Bullock, come on in. Before we do have a final. It is a final. It is official. Number 21, South Florida, 43-7 beatdown of Temple at Raymond James Stadium tonight. So South Florida keeps on rolling. Charlie Strong, he's doing something right down there. That's all I can say. So, all right, Bullock, let's get you caught up. You've only missed a couple of games. We're on our third game here, so you didn't miss much, thankfully. So, well, let's get you started tomorrow night. Number 23, Utah against Arizona. Who you got there?
Yeah, I got the Utah Utes winning this one. I'm just gonna go rapid fire with these games.
I don't blame you. UNLV against number 10 Ohio State.
Boy, it's the Buckeyes all the way. What else is there to be said?
And then the game that we were just talking about, NC State against number 12 Florida State. Florida State's first game in 3 weeks.
Yeah, I got to go with the Florida State Seminoles. I mean, like you just mentioned, it's going to be an emotional game for Florida State to play in front of their home crowd for the first time since everything that Florida's been through with those hurricanes. So no, give me Florida State to win this one.
All right, you are all caught up now, so we're going to continue on now with our next matchup, our final noon game. On the docket, we have the now number 19 Louisville Cardinals back at home at Papa John's Cardinals Stadium. They're going to be hosting the Golden Flashes of Kent State. Um, it's listed as the ACC RSN / ACC Extra game. So check your listings for the proper channel there, so you can tune into this one if you want. It'll be West Durham, James Bates, and Rebecca Capley on the call. And Louisville, you thought Ohio State was a huge favorite. Louisville's an even bigger favorite. How big? 44-point favorite. Yup. Louisville, a 44-point favorite against Kent State. And MF, as we started off with you here, let's just say Lamar Jackson and company are a wee bit miffed after getting humiliated at home by Clemson. Yeah, we're
no, he's there.
Okay. MF, I mean, Louisville, a 44-point favorite, and especially after getting humiliated by Clemson in prime time on a national stage, I'd be a wee bit miffed if I were them.
Yeah, I would be a wee bit miffed as well, but let's just be realistic. I mean, they played horrible. Lamar Jackson, I mean, everybody was saying if he would have dominated that game against Clemson, that probably would have solidified him maybe as the early front runner for the Heisman. I'm telling you right now, he's not winning the Heisman Trophy this year. No way on earth is he going to repeat as Heisman Trophy winner. Not with the performance that he did last Saturday night. That was below average. I'm sorry. He's going to have to do a lot more. Thank goodness he's going up against a team like Kent State. Not so good. So, yeah, Louisville will get their revenge, and they're going to win this one pretty big. But I don't know. I really have nothing else to say at this point. Mike Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I'm just going to make it short and sweet. Louisville's winning this one big time. Yeah, Lamar Jackson, I think he's going to come off and play a huge game because he's pissed after that piss poor performance he had against Clemson. So, yeah, give me Louisville to win this one. Florio, it's yours.
It's Louisville. What else is there to say? I got Louisville on the laugher. So, with that being said, let's move on to our next game. A 2 o'clock kickoff. Hard to believe. It's very rare we get a Saturday college game kicking off at 2, but that's what I have here. Number 13, Virginia Tech Hokies at home at Lane Stadium / Worsham Field. They're going to be hosting the Monarchs of Old Dominion. This game will be another one of those ACC network matchups. And unfortunately, I do not have the announcer pairing for that one. But I do, however, I do have a spread, however. And Virginia Tech, a 28 to 28.5 point favorite against Old Dominion. Michael Bullock, we started off with you here. It's got to be the Hokies, right?
Oh yeah, it's definitely the Hokies. I mean, yeah, a 28-point favorite against a team like Old Dominion. Yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah, I mean, yeah, well, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, they can't. I mean, Virginia Tech. I mean, this is a warm-up match for them against Old Dominion because Florio. I mean, come next week, this is. I mean, you know who the Hokies have?
Who do the Hokies have?
That would be your reigning, defending national champion Clemson Tigers.
Oh my!
So, this is a chance for them to show something going into next week. I mean, do I expect them? Well, we'll talk about it next week. But the Hokies, they're gonna win. They're gonna win this one big here. So, Florio, it's yours. I mean, even though, I mean, this is Old Dominion. I mean, they can't look past Old Dominion.
No, 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 no. Never, ever.
Because I'll tell you
Overlook.
this right now. Florida. If they look past Old Dominion and look ahead to that big matchup next week against Clemson, that could be a huge mistake.
Well, actually, I actually do have the announcer pairing for this game. I just found another announcer sheet. Dave Weekley and John Gregory will be on the call for that Old Dominion Virginia Tech game on Saturday. But nonetheless, it's Virginia Tech. I mean, Virginia Tech looks like they're back in the national spotlight again. I mean, they do have to take care of business here against Old Dominion. Of course, everyone wants to talk about the Hokies home contest against number 2 Clemson next week. I mean, ABC has tabbed the contest a rematch of last year's ACC championship game that Clemson narrowly won, 42-35. But before that, Virginia Tech must get past ODU, and we'll get to Clemson later. So with everything else, I mean, it's got to be Virginia Tech. I mean, I don't know what else there is to say here. I mean, I think Vatek should have no trouble here. I mean, they got the freshman starting quarterback, Stephen Williams Jr. Well, actually, no, I stand corrected. Josh Jackson. Josh Jackson, I expect a huge game for him. I mean, why not? Because he's completing 65% of his passes, 829 yards. He's thrown 8 TDs. He's got no picks. Had 372 yards last week and 5 TDs and an easy win at East Carolina. And that game he had was the highest single game yardage output by a Vatek freshman and the 5th highest output by any Tech quarterback since 1987. And Jackson became the first quarterback to win his first 3 starts since Logan Thomas in 2011. I'm very high on this young man. I think he's going to have a humongous game here. So I expect more of the same. So I got Virginia Tech winning, but let me warn you, young men, do not take Old Dominion lightly. Don't look past them. I know you're all hyped up for Clemson. I don't blame you. I would be too, but slow it down. That's all there is to say on that. I think you'll win. You should have an easy time, but don't take them too lightly. Right, MF?
Oh, absolutely. No doubt about it. You're absolutely right. If Virginia Tech takes Old Dominion lightly, they're going to get stunned. And I hope that does not happen because a lot of the times, sometimes teams like this do take teams very lightly and they look past because there's a big target, a big bullseye that they want to hit on the next week, and a lot of times this is what we call trap games. This is the perfect term of a trap game because of the fact that if a team thinks, okay, they're easy pickings, let's just worry about this and let's just get this game out of the way so that we can get into the next one, which is a bigger matchup, a bigger opponent, and one that will really shape our season. A lot of the times, those are the ones that normally, if you don't watch yourself, you get upset, and it ruins your season. I'll tell you right now, if Virginia Tech has dreams of making a playoff, or making to the playoffs, or going beyond to be a legitimate threat in the ACC, normally a lot of times, it's normally these little games that will trip you up, that could destroy your season. I mean, remember, there was a lot of upsets in the first week, and a lot of times you're like, oh, can they recover? Can they recover? A lot of times when you lose to these little schools, you don't recover at all. So, Virginia Tech, you're on notice. Don't mess up. Don't take them lightly, or else you could find yourself on the outside looking in. So I say you're going to win it, but get the job done. Do not mess around. Don't start thinking about Clemson. Play your 60 minutes. Play your game. Handle your business. A la the Patriot way. Do your job. And everything will be fine. If you don't do that, then you pose yourself a major threat and you pose yourself a major problem. And who knows? You could be the next Michigan, like Appalachia State did to them about 10 years ago. So, very careful. Don't make that mistake. You could be a footnote in college football history if you do. Virginia Tech wins, but like we said, the memo is out. Do not take Old Dominion lightly. Do not take them lightly, guys.
And do your job.
Handle your business. Play like we know you guys can play. You are a major threat in the ACC. You're one of those top teams of the ACC. Play like it. Dominate and get the job done. Then you can worry about the defending national champions next week. Don't do it this week. And I know that coach is probably hammering that home on his players right now. Don't overlook Old Dominion. Florio, it's yours.
Well said, guys. Well said. Well, I only have one question for you guys. Are you ready for the SEC on CBS? What a matchup we have here. The number 1, Alabama Crimson Tide, squaring off against the surprising Vanderbilt Commodores at Vanderbilt Stadium. You know who's on the call for this one. Brad Nessler, Gary Danielson, Allie LaForce, they'll be there. Alabama, 18.5 to 19.5 point favorite. But let me just say, before I give you before I get into my schematics here, I want to talk about not taking Old Dominion lightly. Don't take Vanderbilt lightly either. After all, Vanderbilt upset Kansas State last week. They're for real. I mean, back at SEC Media Days in July, Vanderbilt coach Derek Mason said he and his team would be ready when Alabama came to town. And Mason made it clear that he respected Alabama coach Nick Saban and what he's built in Tuscaloosa. He praised Saban for the way he handles himself and the way he coaches his team. But Mason wanted everyone to know that he wouldn't be afraid. And now Mason and the Commodores must do more than talk. They have to show no fear when Alabama comes to town on Saturday as part of the SEC on CBS. Alabama's first trip to Vanderbilt since 2007 and the first meeting between these two since 2011. While the coaches have never faced each other, Saban can see the growth Vanderbilt has made during Mason's tenure. Commodores quarterback Kyle Shermer, 703 yards passing, 8 TDs, no picks, leads the SEC in his 6th nationally in passing efficiency at 194.9. Commodores are riding high off of a 14-7 upset over then number 18 Kansas State on Saturday. Vanderbilt fields a stifling defense powered by Mason's play calling. They lead the SEC in scoring defense, 4.3 points a game, passing defense, 95.3 yards, and total defense, 198.3. The Commodores allow only 3.44 yards a play. Alabama quarterback Jalen Hurts has struggled with his accuracy in the past, but this season he has thrown 4 TDs, no interceptions, and 53 attempts, which have gone for 472 yards. He has rushed for 100 yards in each of the last 2 games and accounted for 7 touchdowns this season with no turnovers. Vanderbilt safety Ladarius Wiley, one of the key players on the defense, earned SEC Defensive Player of the Week honors against Kansas State after he contributed 11 tackles, intercepted a pass, and knocked down 2 other pass attempts. Vanderbilt's front 7 lines up in a lot of odd fronts to give opposing offenses different looks. On the other side, Alabama coming off a 41-23 win over Colorado State, which had surrendered 391 yards of offense. And Colorado State also converted 10 of 17 third down attempts. And while Saban didn't like the way his team finished, he doesn't want anyone to panic about Alabama's defensive struggles. It will help if linebackers Rashaan Evans, Anthony Jennings, and Dylan Moses are able to play this week after missing game time. They each return to practice, even if in a limited basis early in the week. All right. Even though Vanderbilt pulled off a nice upset win over Kansas State a week ago, I still have to go with Alabama. I mean, 18.5 to 19.5. I mean, it has to be Bama. I mean, there is that small part of me that is rooting for Vanderbilt to win this game. I mean, I would love to see Vanderbilt pull off an upset here. I mean, or I should say another upset after they upset Kansas State last week. The first of two huge stampedes, which I know how much MF loves. The other big stampede, of course, went down in San Diego when San Diego State upset Stanford. I saw that thing live as it happened, and it was what a sight it was. I'll tell you that. And as much as I would love to see Vanderbilt do it, and we would get that big old stampede there, I can't see them beating Alabama. I have to go with my gut. It's got to be Bama. Even yes, Mom. Yes. So with that being said, I got to go with Bama here. So, I mean, the gut's telling me Bama. My heart's telling me Vandy because you know me, I always love to see, major upsets. I would love to see a David like Vanderbilt take down a Goliath like Alabama, but I just don't see it here. So behind Jalen Hurts and crew, I got to go with Bama. I'll probably go maybe 35-24 Alabama over Vanderbilt. Vandy will give them a game, but I think Bama's going to be just too much in the end. So give me Alabama. So MF, Alabama, Vanderbilt, the SEC on CBS. And like I said, watch out for Vandy. They beat K-State last week at home. Who knows? Could they do it again? I just don't think so.
This is going to be a very dangerous game if you're Alabama. I understand why a lot of people are saying that Bama should win this going away, or this is going to be an easy victory for them. But a lot of times it's never easy. You never know what to expect or anything else. And I give a lot of love and a lot of respect to Vanderbilt for playing the way that they've been playing, and for them to say that I have no fear, that we're not afraid of Alabama. Right thing to say. That's a very strong statement to make. But can you deliver when the moment matters? You got 60 minutes to prove that to the whole world that you can do that. And for the most part, I think that it's going to be a good performance, and I think that they're going to give it that college try, and they're going to do whatever it takes to win. But I'm sorry, I'm with you, Anthony. I think Alabama is just too strong, too good, too powerful. And at the end of the night, I think Alabama will get the job done. They will win that game, and they're gonna move on. And they're gonna prove why they are right now one of the top teams in all of college football. But we'll wait and see what happens. So I'm excited to see what happens. I think Alabama will win. You.
All right, I guess it's my turn now. Yeah, so yeah, I think this could be a trap game because I mean, Alabama, they better not take this Commodores team lightly. I mean, this Vanderbilt's off to a good start, but can they really prove themselves against the number one team in the nation, Alabama? I mean, it's like we just said with Virginia Tech and Old Dominion. Do not overlook Vanderbilt. You got 60 minutes to do your job. If you just do your job and do what you're supposed to do, then I think you'll have no problem winning this game. But if you don't, this could be an upset in the making here. I know, I mean, Nick Saban's is hammering it right into the heads of his players. So, like I said, just do your job and you're going to be just fine. Alabama will win, No doubt about it. But if, like I said, if they don't do their job, we could be in for an upset. So, nothing else for me to say. Floria, let's move on.
Move from number 1 to number 2. The number 2, Clemson Tigers, back at home after their dominant win over Louisville in the primetime stage last week. They're going to be at home against, oh boy, Michael Bullock. I don't envy you. Your Eagles of Boston College. Yeah, this will be a 3:30 game on ESPN2. And on the call for this one, it will be Dave Lamont, Kelly Stufer, and Chris Budden. And Clemson, a huge favorite, 33.5 to 34.5. Oh, Michael Bullock. I mean, I know you're a Michigan guy, but I know you're a BC guy too. But we'll get to you in a minute because it's MF who starts this off. And MF, I mean, Clemson back at home after that very dominant win over Louisville on the primetime stage. And now they get to feast on a not so good Boston College team who the previous week got manhandled by my Notre Dame. So let's just say it's going to be another long Saturday for BC.
It probably will be a long Saturday for BC. I mean, this is kind of one of those games where you kind of feel for them a little bit, but this is the nature of the beast. This is what you got to handle, and you try to handle what you got to do. And Clemson, like we said, they had to show us something. They needed it to play a great game, and not only they dominated. They took out Louisville in a hostile environment. This was the game of the week in my eyes. And not only did they win that game, but the way they won that game was such a performance. It is number one worthiness in the power poll here tonight. Now, will they get it? You just got to wait and find out. But I will say it is worthy of possibly being the number one team. But again, we'll wait. But for the whole grand scheme of things, I think it's been unbelievable. Great performance. And now you're going up against Boston College. I hate to say this, but I feel sorry for them. They're going to get – this is Boston College. Look, they used to be a very, very, very good team way back when. And nowadays, they've been struggling in the last few years. What's that going to be like? How's that going to play out? I have no idea. But, well, wish them nothing but the best. Good luck, BC. You're going to have a long afternoon going up against the reigning and defending champions. Clemson wins this going away. Mike Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, Clemson's going to win this one. It's going to be a long game for Boston College. There's really nothing more for me to say. Clemson all the way. Florio, it's yours.
Give me Clemson. Kelly Bryant. I expect another huge game from him. Ray McLeod. I love that name. Ray McLeod. I'm expecting a huge game from him. Defense is going to fluster and manhandle BC. I mean, Boston College, last week, what happened with them? Oh, did you guys see what Notre Dame did to them? Especially Brandon Wimbush. Oh, Wimbush absolutely owned BC all by himself. Young boy was like, I'm going to get that money, man. Oh, yeah. He got that money, boy. And in honor of the late, great Bobby the Brain Heenan, he got all the money. So that's all I can say on that. So, nothing more to say.
Oh, boy.
He said he was going to win all the money. He won. He got all the money. That's all there is to say on that, Mr. Wimbush. Well done. Well done, young man. That's all I can say on that.
Boy. I'm in trouble.
That was fun to watch last week as a Notre Dame fan. So, sorry, Bullock. I know you're a BC guy just as much as you're a Michigan guy, but oh boy, I really needed that after that demoralizing loss to Georgia the week before. So, but enough about Notre Dame. They're not in our rankings this week, but they could be in the future. Hopefully that will happen. So, but anyways, it's Clemson all day. Kelly Bryant, Ray McLeod, the defense. Enough said. It's all Clemson all day, all the way live. So, all right. So let's move on to our next matchup. Okay, these next couple of games, yeah, we're gonna have some fun with these. 3:30 kickoff on ABC. Number 5, USC Trojans squaring off against the California Golden Bears. Kabam Field at California Memorial Stadium. This game, of course, will be on ABC, and it'll be Dave Patch with Greg McElroy and Tom Luganville on the call. And USC, a 16.5 to 17-point favorite. Michael Bullock's got his mic off. He knows he leads off. So, Michael Bullock, USC squaring off against Cal in another one of these, what I call sleeper games of the week. We got plenty of them.
Yeah, this is another game. Like I said, this is a game that I think USC. They cannot take. This Cal team lightly. Like I said, once again, they just got to do their job. That's the thing. Now, ironically, this is USC's first road game of the season, and of course, the Trojans, they're coming off an impressive 42-24 victory over Stanford. But the other two games against unranked foes were less awe-inspiring. They were tied with Western Michigan midway through the fourth quarter before pulling that one out, and they trailed Texas with just 45 seconds left in the fourth quarter before winning in double overtime. Another issue is the rash of injuries on the Trojans' defense. Although quarterback Sam Darnold demonstrated his ability to make big plays when USC needed them most, the Trojans have not been nearly as dominant as expected, and all three games were at home at the LA Coliseum. This week, the Trojans have to travel to Berkeley to take on a Cal team that has exceeded expectations so far and will be excited to face one of its chief rivals in its conference opener. The Bears pulled off a road win against a pretty good North Carolina team in their opener. Then, after struggling more than they should against Weber State, made a statement with a 27-16 home win over Mississippi. First-year head coach Justin Wilcox was the defensive coordinator at Wisconsin last year. Seems to have transformed a Cal team that had little defensive initiative under previous head coach Sonny Dykes into a defensive force. Inside linebacker Devontae Downs, who leads the Pac-12 in tackles, had 14 tackles, 2 sacks, and an interception as the Bears shut down Ole Miss in the second half and held the Rebels to fewer than 100 yards at halftime. For the first time in 6 years, there's certainly familiarity among the coaches, as Wilcox was USC's defensive coordinator in 2014 and 15. Elton was the Trojans' offensive coordinator those 2 seasons and was the interim coach for much of the 2015 season. It may not mean much during Saturday's game, though. Questions regarding Cal's defense remain. Although Cal has significantly reduced the points it has allowed from 42.6 last season to 22 through 3 games this season, Cal still ranks 114th of 129 FBS schools in total defense this week and has now faced a ranked team. Well, there may be questions about how good these teams are this season. There is no uncertainty about which team has had the upper hand in this series. USC has beaten Cal 13 times in a row. The last time Cal beat the Trojans in 2003, Aaron Rodgers was Cal's starting quarterback, and it still took 3 overtimes to finish it off. Cal does not have someone like Rodgers on his roster this year. Bears quarterback Russ Bowers has been good, not great, completing 60.2% of his passes with 5 touchdowns and 4 picks. Darnold, meanwhile, has completed 66.7% of his passes with 7 touchdowns, although his 6 picks are a bit troubling. USC running back Ronald Jones II is averaging 107.3 yards per game, and his sidekick, freshman Stephen Carr, has rushed for 72 yards per game, but they combined for just 75 yards against Texas. Patrick Laird leads Cal in rushing, averaging 92.7 yards per game and 7.5 yards per attempt. USC's big play man is wide receiver Deontay Burnett, who has 24 catches for 386 yards and 4 touchdowns. Meanwhile, Cal's top receiving threat, Demetrius Robertson, is a mystery. He sat out the Mississippi game with an unspecified injury, and the players do not plan to update his status until Saturday. Robertson had 7 catches for 70 yards and 2 carries for 40 yards and a touchdown in Cal's first 2 games. He had 57 receptions for 837 yards and 7 touchdowns last season as a freshman. So, yeah, I think USC is going to win this one, but watch out for Cal. I mean, they could make things interesting but like I said, USC, all they got to do is do their job, and they're going to be fine, and we'll win this game. Say, Florio is yours.
Man, I don't know how to follow that, but Bola touched on everything. There's nothing I can add to this except I got to go with USC as well. Sam Darnold, I expect him to have a huge game again. Ronald Jones the second, I'm expecting a huge game from him too. I think the defense will step up just enough, and I say USC will find a way to win this one. I'm going to say maybe I'm going to go 45-34 USC over Cal. Should be a fun game, but I just think SC is too good. I mean, if there's anybody who knows how good SC is, it's good old MF Michael Fletcher, because nobody is more high on SC this year than MF is, and MF. I'm sure you still feel that way as SC goes up against Cal on Saturday afternoon. I'm sure.
Yeah, without a doubt. You would kind of have to feel like SC should win this game going in. This is going to be a tough game. This is not going to be, because a lot of the times when it's SC and Cal, no doubt about it, you definitely got to give the opportunity, and we'll wait and see what happens. This is going to be a good game. This is going to be an interesting matchup. But at the end of the day, I believe that USC should get the job done. They should win this game. Nothing more to say. Anthony, I'll give it back to you.
All right. It's not often a 3:30 game has the game of the week, but I think based on the matchups and based on the rankings and all that, I have to say this is perhaps the game of the week right here in a 3:30 affair. The number 16 TCU Horned Frogs against the number 6 Oklahoma State Cowboys at Boone Pickens Stadium in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Game on ESPN. Steve Levy, Brian Griese, Todd McShay, they will be there. Oklahoma State a 12.5 to 14-point favorite. Man, based on the matchups, I have to say this is the game of the week, because we got a number 16 against the number 6. And believe it or not, guys, looking at the schedule, looking at our docket here, only one of only two games on the entire docket that feature the two teams that are playing each other that are both ranked. We'll get to our other matchup in a little bit, because that's one of the nighttime games. But Oklahoma State faced no resistance in romping to a 3-0 start and rising up the rankings. TCU also stands 3-0, yet has arrived at the mark much differently, more strenuously, with a tough win at Arkansas and a rally past SMU last week. So which Big 12 team start is more impressive? No need to wonder long, with the team set for a Saturday meeting at Boone Pickens Stadium for one of just 2 weekend matchups pairing top 25 teams. The number 6 Cowboys against the number 16 Horned Frogs in the conference opener for both squads. The Cowboys haven't been in a good game yet, outscoring their opponents 162 to 52 while emptying the bench each weekend. Quarterback Mason Rudolph hasn't played passing yards per game, 3 and second in touchdown passes with 11. Overall, Oklahoma State ranks 3rd nationally in total offense, averaging 607 yards a game, and 4th in scoring with a 54 average. TCU comes off a 56-36 win over SMU at just the right time, heading confidently into a matchup with the explosive Cowboys that may require a shootout for the Frogs to win. Quarterback Kenny Hill has played well in TCU's fast start, yet may need to do even more to outduel Rudolph. Hill's career has seen a range of ups and downs. He tossed a Big 12 worst 13 interceptions last year, with 17 touchdowns as the Frogs finished a disappointing 6-7. In a 31-6 loss to Oklahoma State in Fort Worth, he was picked off twice as the offense's only score came after the Cowboys gave the ball away with a fumble at their own 6. Through 3 games this season, however, Hill is completing 75% of his passes and has 8 touchdowns against 2 interceptions. Hill is benefiting from a supporting cast, too. Wide receiver Cavante Turpin, hampered by injuries a year ago, looks more like the explosive playmaker he was in 2015. Other receivers are producing as well, while steady running back Kyle Hicks continues to churn out yards and touchdowns behind an improved offensive line. And still, the Horned Frogs are a decided underdog. TCU doesn't have history on its side either, having never won a Big 12 game in the state of Oklahoma. Well, how's that for food for thought? But I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair. For a guy who loves offense like I do, I'm going to be flipping back and forth between this game and the Alabama-Vandy game for some odd reason. But this, I have to go with Oklahoma State. Number one, you heard what I just said. TCU has never won a Big 12 game in Oklahoma. And with how damn good this Oklahoma State team is, especially Mason Rudolph, it's hard to bet against OK State. Now, I know how high MF is on SC. I feel the same way about OK State. I'm very high on this team, especially Mason Rudolph. And if they keep doing what they're doing, and if they can get some help along the way, I think this could be a playoff team. I really do. That's how high I am on this team, especially Rudolph. So this to me is the game of the week. I'm going with Oklahoma State to win it. I think it's going to be a very high-scoring game. My final score, 51-45, Oklahoma State, Mason Rudolph, game of his life. Nothing more to say. MF, game of the week, TCU and Oklahoma State.
I agree with that. I think this is the game of the week. This is the most highly anticipated game out of the entire docket. And without a doubt, this is going to be a great matchup, a great battle, high-scoring affair. Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. I just want to see how this will play out in the grand scheme of things, but this is going to be a good battle, to say the very least. And yeah, this is going to be a good matchup, no doubt about that. It's just, what are they going to do? How are they going to react? How's this going to play out? Look, Oklahoma State, Anthony, you said it. Are they a playoff team? I think they could be, but I think the only way that they do is they're going to have one of the top four drop. Somebody's going to have to trip up, and they're going to have to win the Big 12 conference, because I don't think with their body of work right now, they would be good enough to get in. They're going to have to win where it really counts the most. So nothing more to say. I agree with everything you just said, Florio. So, yeah, I think Oklahoma State will win. Nothing more to say. Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, when it comes to this game, I mean, yeah, Oklahoma State. Yeah, this to me is the game of the week here. I mean, you basically mentioned Oklahoma State. I mean, this is a chance for them to try to prove, I mean, that they could be a definite team in the college football playoff. So, and with what I've seen from Mason Rudolph so far, I mean, what can I say? I mean, I think this is going to be. I think this is going to be a close one. I think this is going to be a good one. But in the end, I think Oklahoma State gets the job done. I think Mason Rudolph helps lead the way for them. So nothing else for me to say except I got Oklahoma State winning this one. So Florio, it's yours.
And our final 3:30 game, the number 14 Miami, Florida Hurricanes, the U. Finally, we'll get to play a home game at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. They're going to be hosting the Rockets of Toledo, ACC Network telecast. Evan Lepler, Takeo Spikes, Lindsey Rowley on the call. And Miami, a 13.5-point favorite in this matchup. MF, we started off with you here. Michael Bullock likes Michigan and Boston College. You're a Michigan guy through and through, but you're also a Miami U guy as well. You told me this many times, you and your dad. And the U playing their first game since Irma. You think it's going to be emotional for Florida State? How emotional is it going to be for the U at Hard Rock Stadium when they host Toledo? Don't worry about it, Bullock. I got it.
Is it my turn?
No. It's supposed to be MF.
All right.
Miami Hurricanes when they host the Rockets of Toledo at Hard Rock Stadium, 3:30 kickoff on the ACC network. 13.5-point favorites are the U. So their first game since Irma. So okay, there he is. All right, MF. You, your other favorite team besides Michigan, they're going to be hosting Toledo. First game for them since Irma, Hard Rock Stadium. First game at Hard Rock Stadium, not just, overall. Not
Yeah.
I've even played there yet.
Absolutely, and I definitely got a good feeling about the game. Look, the same thing like you said about a week ago when it came about the whole 9 yards. I truly believe that this could be meant. It could be meant to be, but we'll wait and see what happens. Yes, Miami's going to be very emotional as well. Hard Rock Stadium, the whole 9 yards, that place is going to be rocking more than anything else. Miami really took a major hit during Irma more than anything else. That part of Florida, they're still rebuilding. They're ready to go. And I know Miami's been waiting 3 weeks to get into the action as well. So, no, I think Miami will win this one. They're going to be emotionally driven and ready to go. So, yes, give me the Hurricanes, no doubt about it. I got nothing more to say. Mike Bullock, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, like you said, this is definitely going to be an emotionally charged game for Miami. I mean, playing in front of their home fans, like I said, for the first time since of course the Hurricanes. So basically, there's really nothing more for me to say. I got Miami winning this one, so Florio, it's yours.
Yeah, I got Miami too. Hurricane Irma causing the cancellation of Miami's September 9th game at Arkansas State and the postponement of the trip to Florida State from September 16 to October 7. They're going to be 3 weeks between games, just like Florida State. Longest stretch ever between regular season games in program history, a span of 21 days. That goes back to their season opening win over Bethune-Cookman on September 2nd. And that's all there is to say on that. And even though Toledo's been playing very well, it's got to be Miami. I mean, Logan Woodside playing well. Art Thompson. Well, actually, no, it's Toledo. But it's got to be the U though. I mean, their first game back. I mean, especially front of Malik Rozier. I believe he's going to have a solid game, and that's pretty much all I can say on that. So I'm going with the U to win this one as well by at least 2 scores. So give me the U. Now we move on to a 4:00 game on Fox. Here you go, boys. Your team, get ready. The number 8 Michigan Wolverines squaring off against the Purdue Boilermakers at Ross-Ade Stadium. This will be on Fox. First game of a doubleheader. Joe Davis, Brady Quinn, Bruce Feldman. They're going to be on the call. And Michigan, a 10 to 10.5 point favorite. Michael Bullock, I know you're ready to go. Michigan, 3-0. They look to make it 4-0 against Purdue in West Lafayette. So Bullock, how do you feel about this one? You being the Michigan guy along with MF.
Yeah, I mean, I think they can get this one done, but I think with the way Purdue is playing so far, I think Purdue can give this team some fits. So, yes, so the Big Ten opener between the Boilermakers and Harbaugh's 8th-ranked Wolverines could be Brom's best opportunity all season to stake the claim that Brom is a favorite for Coach of the Year. It's the Boilermakers' homecoming and Brom's first glimpse of Big Ten competition. Purdue has already gained national attention by winning back-to-back games for the first time since 2012, including a dominant 35-3 road victory against Missouri last Saturday. It was the Boilermakers' largest road win since September 4th, 1999, when they defeated Central Florida 47-13. Michigan seeks its second 4-0 start at 3 seasons under Harbaugh and will rely heavily on its defense and special teams to get there. Purdue leads the Big Ten in red zone efficiency, having scored on all 13 of its trips, 10 of which ended in touchdowns. The Boilermakers ranked third in the conference in passing, average yards per game, and fourth in scoring at 35.7 points per game. Redshirt freshman wide receiver Jackson Anthrop is one to watch. He has scored a touchdown in each of his first 3 games, emerging as quarterback David Blow's favorite target. Defeated Air Force 29-16 last Saturday, but only had to defend 9 passes from the Falcons' run-heavy offense, which rushed 49 times for 168 yards. Still, Michigan boasts the second-best passing defense and total defense in the conference, making Saturday's matchup a intriguing clash of football ideologies. Brom knows what he's up against in facing Harbaugh's gritty NFL-style defense and stressed a balanced offensive attack as the key to victory. Despite its record and top 10 ranking, Michigan has been a strange and somewhat stagnant team offensively, particularly in the red zone. Although the Wolverines rank 5th in the conference in overall red zone efficiency at 90%, they have managed just 1 touchdown in 10 trips, converting on 8 of 9 red zone field goal attempts. Against Air Force, kicker Quinn Norton tied a school record with 5 field goals, 4 of which came from inside the red zone. Spate has yet to find a groove, and the Michigan offense has scored only 5 of the team's 9 total touchdowns. The junior is completing just 54.6% of his passes, with 3 touchdowns against 2 interceptions, and the threat of being replaced by senior backup John O'Corn still looms. It doesn't help that true freshman Tarek Black is potentially lost for the season with a foot injury. Michigan running back Ty Isaac has 336 rushing yards through 3 games, the best start by a Wolverines back since Mike Hartole 502 at the start of the 2007 campaign. While Purdue's defense in recent years has arguably been the weakest link, the Boilermakers ranked 126 nationally in rushing yards allowed in 2016. Brom's impact on the program seems to be felt on both sides of the ball, so yes, I got Michigan winning this one, but like I said, I think it's going to be a close one because Purdue coach Jeff Brom has this team playing very well at the start of the season, especially on both sides of the ball. So give me the Michigan Wolverines to win this one. Florio, it's yours.
Yeah, I got Michigan as well. Wilton Speed. I think he's going to have a solid game. And what's really been the story here has been the defense. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we get what's been the theme of their season, clunky first half, but then much in the first half, muscle in the second half. And I think that's what it's been each of the last 3 games. So, including their last one, that home win against the Air Force. So, but I think Michigan will win, but I agree with Bullock. I mean, Bullock touched on everything. I'm not going to rehash anything he said. So, Michigan wins. It's going to be a lot closer than people think. 27-17. I'm going to go with Michigan over Purdue. And now we got to go to the leader of the Michigan Army, the one and only good old MF, Michael Fletcher. I mean, MF, you ready for another battle?
I'm ready for another battle, and yeah, most definitely, no doubt about it. I got Michigan winning the game as well. I'm not gonna really take much more than that. It's gonna be a great battle. It's gonna be a great game. Nothing more to say. Yeah, Michigan wins, and nothing more to say. So let's just move on.
Alrighty. 6 o'clock kickoff on the Pac-12 network. We got number 18. The number 18 Washington State Cougars at home against the Wolfpack of Nevada. Clarence D. Martin Stadium is where we'll be for that one. This game will be on the Pac-12 network. For those of you who may have it, I'll be honest, I do. Lucky me. Ted Robinson, Yogi Roth, and Jill Savage on the call. Washington State a 28-point favorite. So really not much for me to say except it's Washington State. Washington State all day, all the way live. Luke Falk is going to go nuts. I'm expecting a massive game for that young man. So nothing more to say. Washington State in a laugher. They're 3-0. Nevada's 0-3. So Washington State should have no trouble whatsoever. So Washington State all day. How about it, MF?
I agree with that. Washington State, nothing more to say. Mike Bullock, I give it to you.
Yeah, I got Washington State as well. I mean, there's nothing more to say. Florio, I give it to you.
Okay. Once upon a time, this next game, when about 2 or 3 years ago when we were doing this show, this would usually be at least a number 2 game of the week. Heck, maybe even a game of the week, but not this time. Oh no. 6:30 kickoff on Fox Sports 1. The number 3 Oklahoma Sooners squaring off against, I can't believe I'm saying this, the 0-3 Baylor Bears at McLean Stadium in Waco, Texas. FS1 is where you can find this one. And Justin Kutcher, Mark Helfrich, Petros Papadakis on the call. Spread favors Oklahoma 27.5 to 20, 27.5 to 28 points. All Oklahoma. MF. I mean, once upon a time, this game used to mean something, but now Oklahoma, a huge favorite against Baylor. Let's just say this ain't going to be no 5-star classic like it was a few years ago.
And the reason why, look at what happened to Baylor. Losing to Liberty, losing to Texas San Antonio, and then getting thrashed by Duke of all teams. 34-20 last game out. They have been awful. And I cannot say anything more than that. And then as far as Oklahoma goes and Baker Mayfield and them boys, all they just done up to this point, nothing. I mean, other than being last week the number 1 team in our power rankings, or I should say our power poll, after they did an unbelievable job knocking off Ohio State, all they just do, a 56-14 thrashing of Tulane, just to reinforce the fact of why they were giving us all the love and all the congratulations after we gave them the number 1 spot. They were like, we appreciate it, and now we hope that you guys keep us number 1 after the 56-14 thrashing of Tulane. Unfortunately, guys, I don't think you're going to be number 1 this week, but we will give you a lot of love because you deserve it after everything you've done. And we definitely agree that we think you guys are going to win this easy game. So this is another easy victory for Oklahoma. I don't know, man. It's just been a complete and utter disaster, to say the very least. Nothing more to say, Florio. Mike Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Baylor was basically a team that was good, but now they've been awful. So, yeah, there's really nothing more for me to say. Oklahoma's going to win big here. Florio, it's yours.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen. I mean, Baylor. What is going on with these guys? Losing to Liberty, Texas, San Antonio, and Duke. Yeah, let's just say RG3 ain't walking through that door. Corey Coleman ain't walking through that door. And all those other guys that used to make that team fun to watch. Man, major hard times for Baylor. That's all there is to say on that. They've gone through some massive hard times. And it's only going to get worse when Baker Mayfield and Oklahoma absolutely pound Baylor to a pulp. There's nothing more to say on that. So it's all Oklahoma all the time. And before we move on to our next matchup, I can't believe what I'm about to say here, but Thursday night football in the NFL has just gone final. The Los Angeles Rams won the game. That's not the surprising part. What's surprising is the final score. Listen to this, guys. Rams won 41-39. Whoa.
And all the bookies are angry tonight because get a load of this. Get a load of this. The Rams were favored by 2.5 points. So everybody who betted on the Rams, you just lost.
Wow.
You lost this game. If you went for the 49ers, congratulations. Cash your ticket right now. You're going to get some money tonight, folks.
Unbelievable. I mean, Rams were a small favorite, but nonetheless, 41-39, the Rams over the 49ers, a game that we all thought was going to be and a snooze fest. This thing ended up being a damn near 5-star classic with Shakespearean drama. I can't believe I'm saying that, but it's true. Maybe we'll get a little more into it tomorrow night on NFL Friday, but nonetheless, Rams win 41-39 in a far more entertaining game than I thought. Unbelievable. Hats off to you boys. Well done. So, okay. How do we move on from that? Well, let's move on to the other game that features two top 25 teams squaring off with each other. Only the second one. I can't believe I'm saying that. There's usually a lot of these, but only two. We talked about TCU and Oklahoma State. How about this matchup in the SEC? Number 17, Mississippi State Bulldogs, squaring off against the number 11 Georgia Bulldogs, or as we call them, the maiden Georgia Bulldogs. Sanford Stadium in the Hedges in Athens, Georgia. This game on ESPN. And I believe the B team is calling this game. Yes, it is. Joe Tessitore, Todd Blackledge, Holly Rowe. They'll be there and for this one. And Georgia, a 4.5-point favorite. I believe it's Bullock who starts this one off. So Michael Bullock, our number 2 game of the week right here. Mississippi State and number 17 Mississippi State, number 11 Georgia. Big game in the SEC. Mississippi State coming off a surprising win over LSU, while Georgia had no trouble with their foes. So, wow, number 2 game of the week. How about it?
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a fun game to watch here with these two SEC teams going at it here on a Saturday night. I mean, both sets of Bulldogs entered play at Sanford Stadium with 3-0 marks, with Mississippi State ranked 17th and 1-0 in the SEC after last week's 37-7 rout of LSU. Number 11 Georgia will be playing in its SEC opener. Dogs are first in scoring and scoring defense in the SEC. Junior quarterback Nick Fitzgerald leads an offense that has outscored its opponents 143-28, completing 43 of 70 passes for 543 yards and 7 touchdowns while rushing for 240 yards and 5 scores. Arias Williams paces the Mississippi State ground game with 336 yards on 48 carries and 1 touchdown, but the focus is on Fitzgerald, a Georgia native who will have to be able to handle his emotions playing in his home state for the first time. Defense has certainly been Georgia's calling card. The Bulldogs are allowing 14.3 points per game and an average of just 71 yards on the ground. No team has rushed for more than 100 yards against Georgia through 3 games. Defensive tackle Trenton Thompson is a force in the middle of the line, with outside linebacker Lorenzo Carter and middle linebacker Roquan Smith being key playmakers. Offensively for Georgia, true freshman quarterback Jake Fromm is expected to start for the 3rd straight week, although Game 1 starter Jacob Eason is back practicing after returning to workouts on Monday. Fromm has completed 57 passes for 449 yards with 5 touchdowns and 1 interception. More good news for the Bulldogs. Smart is expected to welcome back running back Sonny Michael, who was held out of Saturday's game against Sanford after tweaking his ankle late in the contest at Notre Dame. He'll team with fellow senior Nick Chubb, who was coming off a 131-yard effort against Sanford and leads Georgia in rushing with 44 carries for 290 yards and 4 touchdowns. Although Saturday's game marks just the second meeting between the schools since 2011, Georgia and Mississippi State are relatively familiar with each other. Mississippi State defensive coordinator Todd Grantham served in the same capacity at Georgia from 2010 to 2013. Former Bulldog letterman Christian Robinson is a graduate assistant inside linebackers coach at MSU, while offensive line coach DJ Looney worked as a grad assistant at Georgia last year. Adding to the intrigue, Mississippi State safety Jonathan Abram played with Georgia in 2015, transferring and ultimately joining you before the season. Advantage Mississippi State? Mullen doesn't necessarily believe so. And you know what? I have to go with the Georgia Bulldogs here. I mean, they are at home. I think Nick Chubb's going to have a really good game here. I think Jake Fromm, will play a solid enough game here, but I think this is going to be a really close one. I'm going to say 28-24. Georgia beats Mississippi State. Florio, what's yours?
I got Georgia as well, Bullock. You're absolutely right. Georgia opened my eyes a couple of weeks ago when they went into Notre Dame Stadium and beat my Notre Dame Fighting Irish. They opened my eyes, no doubt about it. And after that win, I not only developed a great respect for them, but I'm definitely this is another team I'm high on. I think this is another team that can make some noise with some help. That's all I can say on that. I love that running game. Nick Chubb and Sony Michel. They're going to have, I think they'll both have big games here. And Brom, the quarterback there, he's done a very nice job filling in for Eason after Eason got hurt in the opener. So, and Mississippi State, don't get me wrong, Mississippi State had a wonderful game against LSU. They surprised the hell out of me against LSU, but I just don't see them going into Georgia, especially in those damn hedges. So that's all I can say on that. So I agree with you, Bullock. I got the Made in Georgia Bulldogs winning. You touched on everything. I'm not going to rehash on that. So my score will be a little bit lower than yours, though. I'm going to go 24-20. Georgia over Mississippi State. So MF, your thoughts on our number 2 game of the week, number 17, Mississippi State, and number 11, Georgia.
Down into hedges, this is where it's a little dangerous, man. This gets a little interesting, and it's SEC football at its finest, man. So normally you see hard bruising down to the wire, close matchups, no doubt about it. I agree with you, Anthony, on that one. 21-17, I got Georgia winning that game as well. Nothing more to say, so let's just move on to the next game.
And it'll be 7 o'clock on the CBS Sports Network. Another new team in the poll, guys. The number 22 San Diego State Aztecs. Yes. So happy for these guys. They're going to be squaring off against the Falcons of the Air Force at Falcon Stadium in Colorado Springs. This game will be on the CBS Sports Network. We got Ben Holden, Jay Taylor, and one of our great old friends, the beautiful Jenny Dell. She's going to be joining Holden and Taylor for the call of this San Diego State Air Force game. San Diego State, a 3.5-point favorite. And I have to go with San Diego State. Once the celebration subsided following San Diego State's 20-17 upset win of Stanford last Saturday night at the Murph, as Chris Bremer would say, because that's where it was. It was at Qualcomm Stadium, the Murph. But the Aztecs, they were left with no time to reflect on the accomplishment. Mountain West opener awaits 2-time defending conference champion San Diego State. They're eager to move forward after a pair of wins against Pac-12 opponents, and they play Air Force in Colorado Springs. The option attack, Falcons head coach Troy Calhoun, carried over from Hall of Fame predecessor Fisher DeBerry, places Air Force near the top of rushing production every year. No exception this year. The Falcons 7th in the football bowl subdivision at 320.5 yards a game. Hard-fought loss at Michigan last Saturday isn't the only evidence of Air Force's solid play under Calhoun. They won a combined 28 games from 2014 to 2016, reached the Mountain West Championship game in 2015, and that was the last time these two programs squared off. Air Force's approach is unique, both in terms of execution and the manner in which a defense must prepare. Michigan limited Air Force to 3.43 yards a carry, primarily on the Wolverines' ability to deny quarterback Arion Worthman opportunities to pitch to leading rusher Tim McVeigh. The Air Force rush defense also faces a huge task Saturday. Falcons are tasked with trying to do what 3 previous defenses this season were unable to achieve: stop Rashad Penny. The running back leads the FBS in rushing and all-purpose yards, producing 196 and 258 a game respectively, combined for 175 yards rushing and 31 receiving in the upset win over Stanford, following up on a 216-yard rushing performance in Week 2 at Arizona State. Penny's nation-leading pace headlines San Diego State's return to the top 25, a spot in which the Aztecs resided after finishing last season 11-3. Also earned a ranking at this juncture in the 2016 regular season, but a loss at South Alabama in their next game kept the Aztecs out until November. Upon their return, they lost at home to Wyoming and fell out once more. Last season's final top 25 ranking was the program's first time finishing in the poll since 1986. How the Aztecs established their rushing game while limiting Air Forces should determine if they keep their place in the top 25 beyond week 4. But nonetheless, I got to go with San Diego State. Years ago, many moons ago, there was a Cinderella team called Boise State that I was very high on. Well, this is the Cinderella team I'm very high on right now. And I saw San Diego State. I saw what they did to Stanford. I couldn't believe what they did to Stanford at the Murph. I mean, they surprised me. And now my eyes are open. I believe in this team. And I think this is a team that, if they keep doing what they're doing and they get some help, we could see them in a New Year's Six Bowl as one of those mid-major teams. So they could be what Western Michigan was last year. You remember how Western Michigan came out of nowhere? Well, I think this is the team that could come out of nowhere, especially with Penny. I love that Penny kid. He is unbelievable. He is a future stud in the making. So there is absolutely nothing more for me to say except I'm going to give me the Aztecs, man. San Diego State wins this one. I do think Air Force will give them some fits, just like they gave Michigan fits, MF and Bullock. But nonetheless, I got San Diego State winning 27-24. San Diego State, I'm very high on this team. MF, I mean, how about those Aztecs? They beat Stanford last week at the Murph.
Yes, they did, and you know what the thing was that they had no fear. They relished in those moments. They wanted this game so badly, and they got it. That was a big win for them, no doubt about that. The one thing that I need to know, and Anthony, I want you to know this: if they get into the top 15 of the rankings, they automatically get a New Year's Six Bowl. So if they end up in the top 15 when it's all said and done, then they automatically will be in a New Year's Six. So they just got to play their game, continue what they do. If they go out and do what they handle their business in the whole 9 yards and finish the job, they will get in, and you'll get your Cinderella story, like you said, with Boise State and Western Michigan. They will get in there. My theory is I think they'll do it. They'll get this win, but I disagree with your rating or your score. I know you had it by a 3-point margin. I think it's going to be more like 7, 24-17. I got your team. I got San Diego State winning. So with that said, Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Yeah, basically, yeah, I agree. I mean, San Diego State, I mean, they look good in the first 3 games and what they did last week. So, yeah, there's really nothing more for me to say. I got San Diego State as well. So, yeah, there's really nothing more for me to say. So, Florio, it's yours.
How about this intriguing matchup? I'm going to tell you right now, we got 6 games left, and all 6 of these games are all intriguing matchups. Starting with this 7 o'clock kickoff on ESPN2. The number 25 LSU Tigers, how they're still in the poll is beyond me after they got slapped around by Mississippi State last week. But nonetheless, they're still there. LSU back home at Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge, and they're going to be hosting the Orange of Syracuse. 7 o'clock on ESPN2. Anish Shroff, Ahmad Brooks, and the lovely Julie Stewart-Binks, they're going to be on the call. And LSU, a 21-point favorite against Syracuse. So MF, I mean, like I said, how LSU is still in the poll is beyond me after they got spanked around by Mississippi State last week. But they're still there. So, and now they get to take out their frustrations on Syracuse. Intriguing matchup for me here.
It is somewhat of an intriguing matchup, but I kind of feel like when it comes to LSU, yes, it was a major letdown. Yes, they did get smacked around, and yes, Anthony, I will give you that. They definitely, maybe in any other time, they probably don't get that rub of getting into the rankings. or they would stay on the top 25 ladder. But remember, there were some other teams that took some serious losses, more than anything else. But I'm not gonna say anything more than that. But I will say this: that we'll see what happens. I just feel bad for what happened, but I think LSU will rebound. They should win this game. Nothing more to say. So, Mike Bullock, I give it to you.
Yeah, I do find it a little strange that LSU is still in the rankings after the way they play, but hey, they're still in there. They should be thankful for that, and I think they're going to stay in there. I think they'll have no problems with Syracuse, but like I said, they cannot take this team lightly. They just got to do their job, and they should have no problem with Syracuse. So win.
Yeah, I have LSU bouncing back as well, but I want you guys to, and I mean MF and Bullock. I want you guys to make a note of this. Like the late great Richard Dawson once in a Family Feud, a funny moment where he said, "Make a note of this show." Well, make a note of this, guys. Over the next 8 weeks, in addition to LSU, the Orange, Syracuse, they're going to be playing 5 nationally ranked teams. Number 2, Clemson on October 13. Number 14, Miami, the U, on October 21. Number 12, Florida State, November 4. And number 19, Louisville on November 19. And 3 of those games are going to be on the road. Oh, Syracuse, I feel for you guys. And they'll prove once again that Syracuse is and always will be more of a basketball school than a football school. But LSU, they'll get back to basics. But it likely to be without running back Darius Geis, considered a Heisman Trophy candidate before the season. Left the Mississippi State game with a left knee injury that Coach Ed Orgeron initially called minor. Orgeron on some radio show said that he will not be playing this week, but he's getting better. Darrell Williams will be likely to start. 28 carries, 159 yards, and 4 TDs this year. They continue to worry some trend against Mississippi State as 2 touchdowns were nullified by penalty. Through 3 games, they've committed 30 penalties for 272 yards, and several more penalties declined. But I do think LSU will get back to basics. They'll get the win back here. So I'm going with LSU to win. 41-21. That's what I'm going to go with. So that's all I can say there. So move on to our next game, and this is the ABC Saturday of the week. The number 4 Penn State Nittany Lions squaring off against the Hawkeyes of Iowa at Kinnick Stadium in Des Moines, Iowa. You know who's working this game. Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, Maria Taylor. They'll be on the call. And the spread favors Penn State, 12.5 to 13. So, Michael Bullock, we started off with you here. Penn State, Iowa, the ABC Saturday night game of the week. We love that. The Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, and Maria Taylor crew. Penn State's been very impressive. 3 easy wins, but now they finally get their first true test against Iowa.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Penn State. I mean, this is definitely going to be a big test for them against Iowa. Yeah, I mean, this is Penn State. They have done. You got the Penn State. With all the focus on their offense and the Heisman candidates, it may be easy to overlook the Nittany Lions defense, but that could be a mistake. So, yeah, Penn State has generated 9 takeaways and is +7 in the turnover margin and has scored 49 points off turnovers, boosting its already dangerous offense, the Nittany Lions picked off three passes, or it's already dangerous defense, I should say. The Nittany Lions picked off 3 passes last week in a shutout of Georgia State, and Allen is in his 42nd game snagged the first interception of his career. Now he'll look for another interception at Kinnick Stadium against a quarterback who has thrown just one this season. Nate Stanley was helped guide Iowa to a 3-0 start, basically a non-conference play. Iowa will be trying to avenge last season's 41-14 loss at Penn State. With Heisman Trophy candidates in quarterback Trace McSorley and running back Saquon Barkley, Penn State also has seen big contributions from tight end Mike Gesicki and receivers Deshaun Hamilton and DeAndre Hopkins. Barkley is second nationally with 218.3 all-purpose yards per game. McSorley was 18 of 23 with 5 touchdowns last week. Wide receiver Brandon Polk and backup quarterback Tommy Stevens, who has been used as a runner-receiver at times, each caught touchdown passes last week and should play bigger roles moving forward. The Hawkeyes avoided a major injury to their top back, but lost another on Saturday in a win over North Texas. Starter Akram Wadley will play this week after leaving that game early, but his counterpart James Butler will be out until at least mid-October. Wadley will be joined by Ivory Kelly-Martin and Torrin Young as the Hawkeyes try to crack Penn State's defense. The Nittany Lions have only given up 1 touchdown all season. Although Penn State has handfuls of big plays under its belt already, its running game sputtered against Georgia State as Barkley managed just 47 yards on the ground in limited action. Ferentz is preparing for the dynamic back to have a bounce-back game. This will be Franklin's first visit to Iowa State, and the coach has asked several questions this week about getting his team ready in Kinnick Stadium's famous visiting locker room, slathered in a shade called Innocence Pink. Penn State's last visit was in 2012, when the Nittany Lions won 38-14, so yeah, I got Penn State winning this one. I think this is going to be a close one here. I think their defense will definitely make some big plays here. I think the offense will do just fine. So, yeah, nothing else to say except Florio, it's yours.
Again, you touched on it all there, Bullock. No need for me to rehash any of that. I got Penn State winning as well. But remember how good this Iowa team is. I mean, Iowa, a couple years or so ago, they were in the Big Ten championship game. Remember that. I'm very high on that Wadley kid. I love him. He's really good. But Penn State right now, this is a team on a mission. I mean, they just missed the college football playoff last year. The defending Big Ten champions. I mean, they've had no trouble with their opponents whatsoever. I mean, all 3 of their games have been easy wins. But then again, I believe all of them were in their cozy confines of Beaver Stadium in Happy Valley. Well, they're not only their first road game, but this is also their first true test of their season right here. Iowa will give them fits, no doubt about it. But ultimately, in the end, I think Penn State will find a way to get it done behind their dynamic duo, Trace McSorley and Saquon Barkley. I think they'll find a way. I think the defense will step up big in the end. So I say Penn State will win it. My final score, 24-21, Penn State over Iowa. Should be another great matchup. Nothing more to say except back to our resident Big Ten authority, good old MF Michael Fletcher. I mean, this is right up your wheelhouse, MF. A classic Big Ten matchup here. Penn State, finally, they're going to get tested.
And you know what? I'm going to do it. I got to call it. Michael Bullock, Anthony Florio, sound the upset alert alarm right now. I think we're going to have an upset in Des Moines. I think Penn State is going down on Saturday night. There's something about that place. There's something about that game. There's something about this situation. Does not feel right for me. The last time I had a pit in my stomach like this, it was Michigan and Iowa in that very stadium, and we all remembered what happened. The upset. Michigan fell to Iowa in Des Moines, and I got that sick feeling in my mind again. Iowa's just a great team. They're strong defensively. They're a great defensive-minded team and everything else. And unfortunately for Penn State, they have not been tested up to this point. Or at least in my eyes, I felt like they haven't been tested until now. And they're going up against a really good team, a really strong team. And yes, I get it. Trace McSorley and them boys, they're going to give them a lot of fits. They're going to give them a lot of trouble, a lot of, they're going to give them a lot of hay. I think that's the best way to say it. But at the end of the day, the way I see it, and deep down in my heart, in my mind, I think the upset is gonna. I think for the first time, I think we're gonna have a major shakeup in the top 25, and more importantly, there'll be some rocks falling on this one, man. In my mind, I'm calling this. I'm calling for the big upset. I think Iowa is gonna pull it off. I think they are going to knock off Penn State on Saturday night, and yes, I'm going to say it. I think we might get another stampede in Des Moines, Iowa this time around. So I'm calling for it. I have Penn State on Saturday night. Anthony, it's yours.
Okay. Let's move on to our next matchup. We got 4 games left. We're in our final 4. 7:30 kickoff on ESPN University. Another interesting matchup here. Matter of fact, the next 2 games will be coming via the way of the SEC. The number 15 Auburn Tigers, Lindsey McCormick's crew, squaring off against another set of Tigers, the Missouri Tigers. Memorial Stadium at Farrat Field in Columbia, Missouri. This game will be on ESPN University. Mark Neely and Ray Bentley will be on the call. And the spread favors Auburn 18 to 18.5. I got to go with Auburn. I mean, Jarrett Stidham, I expect him to have a huge game. I'm also expecting Cameron Petway in that awesome running game. I expect them to have big games as well. Nothing really more for me to say on this. I'm going with Auburn. I'll probably say 30. I'm going to go like 38, maybe like 38-21. Auburn over Missouri. So nothing left for me to say except MF, your thoughts on Auburn and Missouri.
I got to go with Auburn. I think they're just a really strong team up to this point. I haven't seen anything that would make them a little more dangerous up to now. So I'm with you, Anthony. Auburn, nothing more to say. Yep. Well, Mike Bullock is yours.
Yeah, I got Auburn winning this one as well. I mean, I think they should have no problem with Missouri. So nothing else to say. Let's just move on for you.
And our final 7:30 kickoff. This will be on the SEC network. The number 20 Florida Gators, fresh off their dramatic win over Tennessee. The Hail Mary that was answered. They're going to be squaring off against the very surprising Kentucky Wildcats, who are 3-0. Kroger Field in Lexington, Kentucky. SEC Network, Tom Hart, Jordan Rogers, Cole Kubelik on the call. And Florida is the favorite, but only by 1.5 to 3. MF, I mean, Florida, did you see that unbelievable win against Tennessee that made Brad Nessler go nuts when they connected on that 63-yard Hail Mary to beat Tennessee? Talk about stars.
It's so funny. I got to say it. Myself and Bill McConnell from the 2184 crew, we were literally on lunch when this happened. We were watching the game on CBS, and when we saw it, we both were like, wow. I actually, at first, I told him he was like he got it. That's a touchdown. And at first I was like, wait a minute, they got to review this, just in case, because you never know, something kooky. It could have been on a rebound, could have been a recoil because of the positioning. Maybe the ball dropped. You never know. But we saw it at least 2-3 times, and we're like, nah, he got it. That's a touchdown. Big win for Florida. Big ups for them, man. I got nothing more to say about that. It is going to be an interesting matchup. It's going to be a good game, but I think Florida is just riding off a major high. I don't know how you would lose this game unless you get too overamped over it. But I think Florida will win it. They'll get the job done. Nothing more to say. Mike Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I do agree. I gotta go with Florida as well. I mean, I agree with everything Fletcher just said. So there's really nothing more for me to say. So Florida, what's yours?
Yeah, I'm going with Florida as well. But don't sleep on Kentucky, guys. Kentucky's 3-0. I mean, the last time Kentucky beat Florida on the football field, Ronald Reagan was our president, and he was approaching the halfway mark of his Ronald Reagan was the president, approaching the halfway mark of his second term. Gas was 89 cents a gallon, and you could buy a new Ford Mustang for less than $7,500. That year was 1986. And the Wildcats, then coached by Jerry Claiborne, scored the only touchdown on running back Mark Higgs' short plunge for a 10-3 win over Florida. The next year, Florida beat Kentucky 27-14 in Gainesville to start what has become a stretch of 30 consecutive victories for the Gators in the series, the longest active winning streak over a major college opponent and the 5th longest such streak of all time. And, of course, Kentucky coached by Mark Stoops, part of that Stoops family legacy. What his brother Bob did in Oklahoma. But both teams coming off significant wins. I mean, we talked about Florida beating Tennessee. Tyree Cleveland, that 63-yard Hail Mary from Felipe Franks. Unbelievable, to say the very least. And Kentucky looking to go 4-0 for the first time since 2008. And Kentucky winning their conference opener in South Carolina, 23-13. And Steven Johnson, I think he's going to have a solid game. Benny Snell, the running back, I think he'll have a solid game as well. But there's just something about Florida right now. I mean, Felipe Franks, and Tyree Cleveland. I think they're both going to have big games. But anytime you're that good over a certain opponent, I mean, it's another gut-heart situation. My gut's telling me Florida. My heart's telling me Kentucky. But I got to go with Florida. So I say Florida wins. I'm going to go 20-17, Florida over Kentucky. And what I think could be a sleeper game of the week. I really do. And now we move on to our final 2 games, 10 o'clock, Fox Sports 1. The number 7 Washington Huskies. Oh, I love this matchup. Squaring off against the Colorado Buffaloes at Folsom Field in Colorado. Tim Brando, Spencer Tillman, Holly Saunders on the call. And the spread favors Washington by 11.5. Michael Bullock, Washington and Colorado. What a great Pac-12 matchup on a late Saturday night.
Really good match late at night here. So, this is going to be and Washington. I mean, they're going to experience a test for the first time when they open up Pac-12 at Colorado. The Huskies have played 3 overmatched opponents, so it is hard to gauge the readiness of the team heading into the more demanding part of the schedule. The Buffaloes are also 3-0 and appear to be a much more fearsome challenger than Washington's first 3 opponents, Rutgers, Montana, and Fresno State. Even Huskies coach Chris Peterson had to admit that the first 3 games weren't of the arduous variety. The contest with Colorado also was a rematch of last season's Pac-12 championship game. The Huskies rolled to a 41-10 victory in that meeting. Peterson regularly states that nothing that occurred last season matters during this season. He stayed true to form this week. Colorado certainly wouldn't mind erasing the Pac-12 title contest from the memory banks. The Buffaloes are looking to start 4-0 for the first time since winning 5 straight to open the 1998 campaign, and coach Mike McIntyre doesn't plan to say much about last December's disappointing defeat. One player Colorado will discuss a lot is Washington receiver Dante Pettis, who doubles as the nation's top punt returner. The senior returned a punt for a score in each of Washington's first 3 games to tie the NCAA record for consecutive games with a punt return touchdown, shared by Kansas State's David Allen and North Carolina's Ryan Switzer. His 77-yard touchdown return in last Saturday's victory over Fresno State was the 8th of his career, tying the NCAA mark shared by Texas Tech's Wes Welker and Oklahoma's Antonio Perkins. McIntyre witnessed Pettis' first punt return score from the sidelines as Pettis sailed 87 yards in a 2014 contest in Boulder. The ability of Colorado junior punter Alex Kinney to prevent returns could be a key factor in the contest. Kinney has punted 15 times in the first 3 games, and only 2 of them were returned for a total of 9 yards. Keeping Pettis in check is crucial for Colorado in its bid to hold its 7-game skid against the Huskies. Also pivotal will be the performance of sophomore quarterback Steven Montez. The first-year starter has been poised so far while completing 68.3% of his passes for 858 yards and 6 touchdowns against 3 interceptions. Senior tailback Philip Lindsay leads the ground game with 378 yards and 3 touchdowns. Defensively, junior inside linebacker Drew Lewis, senior defensive end Leon Jackson III, and junior cornerback Isaiah Oliver are off to solid starts. Lewis is the first Colorado player to post 10 or more tackles in each of his first 3 career starts since former standout Greg Beekert recorded 4 in a row to start the 1990 season. Though the Buffaloes were routed by the Huskies last December, they did arrest Washington quarterback Jake Browning into a 9 of 24 performance. Browning threw 2 touchdown passes but accumulated just 118 yards. Browning's junior season is off to a good start. He has completed 74.4% of his passes for 798 yards and 8 touchdowns against 1 pick. The Huskies' running game has been virtually non-existent and ranks just 95th nationally at 129.7 yards per game. Junior Myles Gaskin, a 1,300-yard rusher each of the past 2 seasons, has just 153 through 3 games. Washington holds a 10-5-1 series lead against Colorado. So I got the Washington Huskies winning this one, but going into Colorado and playing the Buffaloes is certainly going to be no easy task, and this will not be easy. But in the end, I think Washington definitely gets the job done here. So Florio, it is yours.
Tough to call. It's another gut-heart situation. Gut's telling me Washington, heart's telling me Colorado, especially with the game being in Colorado. But I got to say Washington will find a way. I mean, Bullock mentioned it. The Pac-12 championship game, Washington absolutely owned Colorado, 41-10. So I don't think it's going to be that decisive. I think Colorado will give them some major fits. But I think ultimately, in the end, I think Washington's going to find a way to get it done, especially with Jake Browning and Myles Gaskin leading the way. So I'll say Washington ekes it out. I'm going to go 31-24. Washington over Colorado. Should be a good one. So, MF, your thoughts on Washington and Colorado Pac-12 title game rematch?
It is. It's going to be a Pac-12 title game rematch. It's going to be a good matchup, to say the very least. I got to go with Washington as well. I just feel like they're right now, they're peaking at the right time. And, it is early in the season. I get that. But I don't know. I just feel like Washington is just the better team. Just the body of work, everything they bring to the table. I don't know why. This is just my personal feelings, my personal thoughts. And I just like Washington. I think Washington is gonna be a more polished team, a more focused team, a more ready team. And I don't know why. I just feel like Washington's gonna win. So give me Washington. Nothing more to say. Anthony, let's move on.
And we move on to the final game of the week. Another 10 o'clock kickoff on the Pac-12 network. Look who's back in the power rankings, and I know our friend Eric Carrier is going to be very thrilled about this. His team, the Oregon Ducks, are back in the AP top 25. They're number 24, and they're going to be squaring off against the Sun Devils of Arizona State. Sun Devil Stadium, Frank Cush Field in Tempe, Arizona. Pac-12 network will have it. Roxy Bernstein, Anthony Herron, Lewis Johnson on the call, and Oregon, a 14.5-point favorite in this one. And needless for me to say, I mean, after almost exactly a year away, Oregon is back in the national rankings. They've given their FBS shredding offense a defense it can work with. And now comes the first test of the rest of the year when they open Pac-12 conference play against Arizona State in Tempe at Sun Devil Stadium. Oregon enters the game ranked second among FBS schools, 609 yards of offense a game, averaging 56 points a game. And most significantly, the Ducks have given up only 300 yards a game, tied for 33rd nationally. They held Wyoming quarterback Josh Allen, considered a top NFL draft candidate, to 9 of 24 passing for 64 yards and a 49-13 road beatdown last Saturday. The Ducks gave up 518 yards last year, which was 126th among 128 in the FBS, and ranked last in first downs allowed, 28.1. But they've definitely changed that this time around. I mean, the running game has played a significant role. Royce Freeman, 460 yards. Kenny Benoit, 6 rushing scores, tied for second in the nation. Quarterback Justin Herbert, 897 yards, 5 TDs, 2 picks. Charles Nelson, the leading receiver, 15 catches, 243 yards and a score, but he's questionable after suffering a sprained ankle in the Wyoming game. Taj Griffin replaced him. And Ducks are back in the AP poll for the first time since the third week of 2016. They dropped out after a loss at Nebraska that started a 5-game losing streak. They have, however, won 10 in a row against ASU, including the last 6 at Sun Devil Stadium. So, an Arizona State quarterback, Manny Wilkins, leading a great offense, averaging 34 points and 412 yards a game, but the defense has been a problem, allowing 37.7 points and 505 yards a game. Texas Tech. Look what happened against Texas Tech. They allowed 615 yards to Texas Tech, 543 passing in a loss to them last Saturday, 52-45 loss. Sun Devils beat New Mexico State in the season opener before losing at home to San Diego State. They're off to their worst start since '99. So I got to go with Oregon. I mean, I think Oregon's football's back, and Eric Carrier, I'm sure he's got to be more than delighted and thrilled to see his team playing so well again after a couple of hard times years, but they're back, man. Herbert, big game. Freeman, big game. There's nothing left for me to say. I'm going with Oregon to win this one. I will probably say final here will be 45-28, Oregon over Arizona State. So, MF, Oregon, back in the polls, and I know our boy Eric Carrier has got to be more than thrilled about it.
Well, I totally agree with what you said. Eric Carrier has every right to be very happy in the whole 9 yards, and Oregon's been playing great lately, no doubt about it. I'm gonna go with Oregon as well. I think they're definitely gonna be they're just so explosive now. If they can reel in that defense, start playing with some better defensive intensity, I think Oregon could be that team again that could sneak in to the college football playoff. I'm not going to say that they're a legit threat, not yet, but they could sneak in, maybe get one of those 2 at-larges for the New Year's Six. You never know. I mean, they could be that team that could sneak in out of nowhere, and they might not make the college football playoff, but a New Year's Six bowl, without a doubt, they could definitely make it. So, no doubt. So I got Oregon winning the game, no doubt about that. Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I got Oregon winning this one as well. I mean, yeah, they've looked really impressive in the first 3 weeks of the college football season. So, yeah, I mean, you guys pretty much touched on everything. I got Oregon winning this one as well, and actually, guys, I I gotta head out now because I gotta be up early for work in the morning. So I'll see you guys tomorrow night for Strictly Sports NFL Friday.
All right, Bart, sounds good. So MF and I will uh, handle the load from here. We'll carry the power pole here. So see you tomorrow night. So power
All
pole.
right, I'll see you guys tomorrow.
All right, both. Power pole here and now. Michael Fletcher, MF. We're gonna start it off with you here. Who's number 10 in your power poll this week?
You know, I'm gonna say this: the number 10 spot is actually the most difficult spot for me. Other than that, everything else fell into place. My number 10. I know a lot of people would say give it to Ohio State. I'm sorry, I can't. I'm still kind of a little not so thrilled with Ohio State, especially after their performance against Oklahoma. So, and yeah, they did handle their business. They beat Army, which was a nice win, but you gotta show me more, Ohio State. I'm sorry. My number 10 is an undefeated team. The Maiden Georgia Bulldogs. I actually give them the number 10 spot. They're 3-0 right now. This is probably going to be the only disagreement of the night. I kind of got a feeling about that, but no. Number 10 for me is Georgia. So Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah. Even though Ohio State pulled out a nice win against the Army, I need to see a little more out of them. And having another soft opponent in UNLV is not going to is really not going to impress me enough to put them in. So I gotta leave them on the outside looking in. They are an honorable mention though. I will give you that. So with that being said, you know what, I'm actually going to agree with you on that. I'm going to go with Georgia at number 10 as well, because they are undefeated. I mean, I've been very impressed with their body of work, especially the Notre Dame win, and they had an easy win in their last one, but they're going to have a tough one coming up against when they square off against Mississippi State. I mean, that's going to be a tough affair for them, and especially after Mississippi State absolutely manhandled LSU 37-7. And I mean, I think everything's pretty much in place here as far as the rankings are concerned. So the passing game needs work, but the running game is amazing. And with Chubb and Nick Chubb and Sony Michel, 42-14 over Samford. That's how they've done it. Oh boy, their next 3 games are going to be very tough. I mean, the home game against Mississippi State, then they got to go to Tennessee, and then they got to go against that very surprising Vanderbilt team. Their next easy game is not until October 14 when they host Missouri. So, next 3 games, we're gonna see if the Maiden Georgia Bulldogs are just that. So, really nothing left for me to say on that. I'm going to agree with MF on that one. Number 10 is the Maiden Georgia Bulldogs. Just got to look at my my notes from my rankings from last week. I think I pretty much have the same teams, but I think I might have to make some indentments here. I'll tell you right now, there is a new number 1, even though Oklahoma won. I mean, I have a new number 1, especially after what I saw from that team. So, and I'm sure MF will agree with me on that. So, number 9, I'm going to keep them at number 9, the Wisconsin Badgers. Another team that needs work in the passing game, but the running game is unreal. 40-6 beatdown of BYU. They went in there and held serve there. They got a bye week. We'll see them next week when they score off against Northwestern. And trap game as far as I'm concerned. So we'll see how that goes. But they have a bye week coming up this week. So I think I got Wisconsin holding serve at number 9. So MF, how about it?
I agree. Number 9 is Wisconsin, no doubt about it. You brought up a very valid point. Nothing more to say. So let's just dive into number 8, which is actually the Michigan Wolverines. Again, very good, very sloppy in the first half, dominating in the second half. That's been Michigan's ammo lately. Look, it's gonna come to a point where you're gonna have to do all 4 quarters. You can't just do lousy in the first half, great in the second half, and expect to win. There's gonna be a team that if it comes like that, that if we get caught and we will lose like that. And let me tell you, we got a long way to go. So we're living dangerously, but we're doing all right for the time being. So my number 8 is Michigan. Anthony, it's yours.
Yes, I agree. Michigan at number 8. And you said it, MF. Another so-so game against the Air Force. They're 3-0. I mean, they're there, but I need to see a little more from them. 29-13 win over the Air Force. They got a trap game against Purdue in Purdue on Saturday, bye week, and then Michigan State comes in next week on October 7th. And don't sleep on Michigan State. Michigan State's slowly creeping back into notoriety here. And they have what I consider the true sleeper game of the week when they host Notre Dame on Saturday night on the Fox Saturday Night Game of the Week with Gus Johnson and company. I mean, that's going to be a fun one in East Lansing. I'm looking forward to that one. But nonetheless, Michigan, I mean, we talked about it. They're 3-0, but all 3 wins have been ugly wins against Florida, Cincinnati, and the Air Force. So let's see how they do against Purdue. That's not going to be an easy one. Purdue's actually playing halfway decent this year, so it's really all there is to say on that. So number 8, it is the Michigan Wolverines. Number 7, I'm going to go with the Washington Huskies. Very high on Washington again this year. They too are 3-0, and this time around the passing game is working. Browning's having a great year, but the running game needs work. I mean, Gaskin has not been as good as he was last year. They've outscored their opponents 141-37. Easy win over Fresno State, 48-16. Their first true test coming up against Colorado. I mean, they've had easy wins against Rutgers, Montana, and Fresno State. Then this Colorado game is going to be very tough. So, but we'll see how they do. But I think they'll find a way. So, number 7 for me is Washington. MF, how about it?
Agreed. No doubt about it. Washington's number 7. It was a neck and neck. I was debating because it was 2 teams that I was debating on this one. But no, you're absolutely right. Washington deserves the number 7 spot. It makes it more easier for me because my number 6 is actually Oklahoma State, another team you are very high on, Anthony. You've been very high on Oklahoma State lately, thinking that they could win the Big 12 conference, which is very possible, but there is a team up there in the top 3 that might beg to differ on that. But they've been playing so good lately. They're definitely in contention for the New Year's 6, which will be very fun to see if they get there. But they need to get there. That's the key word. They have to get there. As long as they continue to play what they're playing, and then we got that big game at Bedlam. Once you get that, then we're gonna find out if Oklahoma State is a contender or a pretender. Once we get that, then we'll find out everything. All the cards will be on the table at that moment. But no, I agree. Number 6, Oklahoma State. Floyer, is yours.
Yeah, it's Oklahoma State, no doubt about it. Especially after what they did against Pittsburgh. I mean, they went into Heinz Field and they kicked the door down and made themselves at home. I mean, 59-21 beatdown. Mason Rudolph, to me, is the favorite for the Heisman Trophy right now. Because that kid has been doing some things. Unbelievable. their first true test coming up Saturday against TCU, the game of the week. And if they get by that one, then they'll the next 3 weeks after that. I mean, September 30, they have Texas Tech. That should be a win. Then they have a bye week, and then on the 14th, they host Baylor. Their next true test probably won't be until October 21 when they go up against Texas. And, of course, the big one that you're talking about, MF, that'll be on November 4, the Bedlam game against the Oklahoma Sooners. And they have it. They're going to be hosting that game in Stillwater. So that's the one that will really I mean, I think that's the pseudo Big 12 championship game right there, because Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, for my money, are far and away the two best teams in the Big 12. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see those two square off for the Big 12 championship. So, and if that's the case, oh boy, we're going to have that's going to be so much fun. I cannot wait. So Oklahoma State Cowboys are number 6. All right. Now, I was debating between 4 and 5, between Penn State and USC, but I got to go with SC at number 5. They needed 2 overtimes to beat Texas. And let me say it like this. It definitely conjured up memories of that epic Rose Bowl a decade ago. And just as exciting, if not more exciting, USC won it 27-24 in double overtime. If it had been a little more decisive, maybe I would have had them at 4, but I got to leapfrog Penn State over them. But SC won it. They got 2 tough games coming up. I mean, Cal, that's a trap game, and then a real test on September 29th, a Friday night game at Washington State. We're going to talk about that next week. And then an easy one against Oregon State. And then, of course, the game that I'm personally waiting for on October 21 when they go to Notre Dame under the lights. That's the game for me. That's my Easter right there. That's my Christmas right there. That's the game I always get really intense about. I mean, the same way MF feels about Michigan when they go up against Ohio State. But we'll talk about that next month. But for right now, I got to put SC at 5. I mean, like I said, 2 overtimes they needed to beat Texas. So that's all I can say there. So USC Trojans are number 5. MF, agree? Disagree? What?
I agree for the most part. I gotta go with USC as well at number 5. And yeah, they didn't do any favors when they had that double overtime game. I mean, that definitely left a little bit of a sour taste in the mouth for me. I had them very high. I thought they were going to be a major contender for the playoff, and then the dude to just lay that kind of an egg out there, I was like, wow. Definitely made me rethink a lot of things about them. But it's good to get the win, good to get that out of the way. Anything more scarier than that. But if it's conference play, that's understandable. But non-conference, you cannot do that. That's something that you just can't do. But USC kind of got away with one. Don't ever do that again. My number 4, I got to go with Penn State. Penn State's been looking really good lately. They've definitely been playing very good football. But they got some challenges coming up, man. They got a rough road coming up very soon. So can they handle that crazy schedule more than anything else? We'll have to wait and see. But I like what I've seen from Penn State so far, man. They look like the Penn State of old, and they've been playing very good in the last few years. As many of you guys know, they made that Rose Bowl run about a year ago, won the Big Ten. So who knows? Maybe Penn State might be saying, hey, what about us getting into the playoff? You keep playing the way you're playing, you just might sneak yourself right in there. So you never know. So, but I'm with Penn. I like Penn State. I like their odds. So, yeah, number 4, Penn State. Anthony, go.
Yeah, Penn State number 4. No question. 141-14. They've already pitched 2 shutouts already. They had a 52-0 beatdown of Akron, and then a 33-14 win over Pittsburgh, and then a 56-0 win over Georgia State. All 3 games like I said, in the cozy confines of their home, Beaver Stadium in Happy Valley. But they go on the road now against Iowa. Trap game if there ever was one. We'll see what this team is really made of. I mean, you're what MF said. MF is picking Iowa to win. He's going for an upset special. We'll find out. They get by that one. Then they'll have a couple of easy games against Indiana and Northwestern, bye week. And then, of course, a murderer's row schedule for the next 3 weeks. October 21, home against Michigan. And then on the road, October 28 at Ohio State. And then November 4 at Michigan State. Then we'll really see what this Penn State team is made of for those 3 weeks. So, but for right now, the Nittany Lions are number 4, 141-14, 2 shutouts. They're not going to slap around Iowa. I can guarantee you that. So, Penn State Nittany Lions are number 4. This next one I know is going to surprise a lot of people, but I don't care. They had a much tougher time with this team than I thought, and I got to let them know about it. My number 3, Alabama Crimson Tide. I got to send a message to you guys. 41-23 over Colorado State. And they actually had a little bit of a time with Colorado State. I heard Colorado State actually put up some halfway decent offense against them. That defense had a little bit of some struggle against them. But nonetheless, Bama found a way to win, but I needed to see a little bit more. I was hoping for something a little more decisive. If it had been more like the game against Fresno State, then maybe I would have given them the benefit of the doubt, but I can't do that. Very tough. They got a trap game of their own against Vandy. Very intrigued by that game right there. And then they got Ole Miss coming in, and then at Texas A&M and Arkansas, Tennessee. Yeah, they got a very tough schedule here. All these weeks are going to be very tough. I mean, their next easy game is not until, I think, November 18 when they score off against Mercer at home. That's the only real easy game they have because all these other games are tough. Vandy, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Arkansas, Tennessee, LSU, Mississippi State, and, of course, the Iron Bowl. And that's at Auburn. So think about that for a minute. But nonetheless, Alabama for now is number 3. I wanted to see more from them. I mean, they should have had an easier time with Colorado State, but they had their struggles, but they found a way. All that matters. So, Bama's number 3, like it or not. What do you say, MF?
Oh, boy. Uh-oh. Jason hits a ball, and the Alabama fans are going to go ballistic. They're going to be so mad. They're gonna be like, Florio, what are you doing? Are you out of your mind? Well, guess what? I guess I'm going to go right into that foxhole with you, my brother, because I agree. Alabama's number 3. Like you said, I needed to see more. I needed to see more from Alabama. I didn't. That was not what I wanted. They're gonna have to prove it, and they got a good matchup coming up against Vanderbilt. They're gonna have to show me something on that. So nothing more to say. My number 2, the team that was number 1 last week, they dropped down a spot. Hey, no shame in the game, and the reason why we're not punishing you because you won. We're punishing you because like I said, I warned you about that team that we thought was going to be number 1. I said it. If that team dominated, they were probably going to get number 1. They did it. They did it with their business. They handled it. This team got number 1. Oklahoma, I'm sorry, guys. You guys got you were the sacrificial lamb on this one. Any other time, I'd probably say you stay number 1, but I even made that decree last week, and Anthony knows about it, and I said it. Normally, when you do something like that, you have to be rewarded, and let me tell you, you absolutely were rewarded 2 weeks ago when you did your business and destroyed Ohio State. You deserve to be number 1 at that time. This time around, you handle your business. You were impressive, but in my eyes, it was an unfair, and I feel bad. And I know Dede Woodson and Kevin Woodson, when they find out that they're not number one, they're gonna be mad. And I'm sorry, guys, but that's the way college football is. It's not. A lot of the times this happens. So my number 2, Oklahoma Sooners. Anthony, go.
Could not agree with you more, MF. Absolutely correct. It is the Oklahoma Sooners at number 2 for the same reason. You read me like an open book, man. That's all I can say on that. I mean, that's why we've been the best of friends for the last 23 years. I mean, we know each other inside and out, and you know how my mind works, and absolutely got this right. I mean, who did Oklahoma play? They played Tulane, and they dominated them 56-14. They got a couple more easy games coming up. I mean, Baylor, 5 years ago, that's a tough one, but not this time. They're gonna have no problem with them whatsoever. Then they got a bye week, and then they got Iowa State coming in. Iowa State, middle of the road kind of team. I don't think they're gonna see a real test until the Red River game against Texas on October 14th. Then we'll see what they're made of then. But for right now, Oklahoma, they're number 2. Sorry to say. So that means, number 1, your reigning and defending college football playoff national champion Clemson Tigers. Why are they number 1? Well, it's not because they've outscored their opponents 117-30. No. It's because of what they did going into Louisville and absolutely pounded them to a pulp. 47-21. They got an easy game against Boston College. Don't overlook it, because you got their real, and then they got another test coming up against Vatech, Virginia Tech, next week. Primetime game, the Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit game, the ABC Saturday night game of the week next Saturday night. So we'll see how that goes. But man alive, I mean, just absolutely owned Louisville. Kelly Bryant, 316 yards to a TD. Rushing game was very good. Ray McLeod, over 100 yards receiving. I mean, just absolutely owned them. And we thought it was going to be a 5-star Shakespearean drama-laden classic. Oh, no, it was not. They owned Lamar Jackson. They sacked him 5 times. They picked him. Even though Jackson did have over 300 yards and 3 scores, the defense put up 5 sacks and they got an interception on him. The only problem with Clemson was their quarterback, Kelly Bryant, was sacked 4 times, but that didn't matter. So absolute dominance by Clemson, showing you why they are the defending national champions. So very impressive. And to do it without, their superstars, Deshaun Watson and Wayne Gallman and all those awesome talents from the championship team. Unbelievable. So we salute you, Clemson. Nothing more to say. Clemson Tigers, number 1. MF, take it home.
You said it. Clemson Tigers, number 1. Really nothing. Let's just call it a night.
And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to call it a night. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. As always, of course, we'll be back with you tomorrow night for NFL Friday. Same time, same channel. We'll run down the remaining games of Week 3 in the NFL, power rankings, as always. And then Saturday night, Michael Bullock and myself, maybe MF, I don't know. We'll try to work out some sort of No Mercy preview show. And then Sunday night, of course, will be the recap of No Mercy. And then Ridiculously Raw, Cerebral Smack Talk, all that. So there you have it. So until tomorrow night for NFL Friday, it's Anthony Floyo here. For good old MF, Michael Fletcher, and in spirit, Michael Bullock, Dede Woodson, and Derek Ferreira. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Go to Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Friday. And until tomorrow night for NFL Friday, you've been watching Strictly Sports College Football Thursday right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube.com. For now, Anthony Floyo. So long.